Good evening, race fans. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tyler White, here to bring you tonight's NASCAR updates. Happy Valentine's Day to all you race fans out there. Hope you had a wonderful day, and I hope you loved somebody, as the Bible says, to love one another as I've loved you. And also, today is the beginning of NASCAR season. It kicked off this evening with the very first practice session of the year. They had two practice sessions tonight. We're going to take a look at those practice sessions in just a few moments. But right now, here are the top stories heading into the 2014 NASCAR season. And we begin with the two biggest changes NASCAR has made to this season. The first one, they're going to make qualifying from single car qualifying to group qualifying. And the next big change, they're going to add 16 drivers to the chase and make it all come down to 4 drivers battling for the championship. Now, I agree with these two calls. First of all, the group qualifying. They're going to make all the cars qualify together. So it's going to be a lot like a heat race you would see at a dirt car track. And I agree with that. If you ask me as a fan, which one would I rather see? Single car qualifying where they use one car at a time for 2 laps, or group qualifying, which is a lot like a heat race? I go with group qualifying. And technically, it is a race, so it's going to be very nerve-wracking for the drivers. But for you, the fans, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And I'm telling you, it's also going to be fun for the announcers on television to call it. I mean, basically what they do for qualifying during single car run, just look at the monitor and basically just not call what they see. They're just looking at the monitor for the time. And it's okay to look at the monitor, but you got to call at what you see. So with the group qualifying, they're going to call more what they see. Now, with the new chase format, I like the chase format, the new chase format. It's going to be a lot like the NBA Finals or the NBA playoffs to get into the NBA Finals to determine their champion. And I think this is a great call by NASCAR, and I'm glad that they chose to do 4 drivers battling for the championship instead of 2. I think this year's championship race at Homestead is going to be a very intense race, and I think it's going to be one of the greatest championship battles we have ever seen in NASCAR. And a lot of drivers are saying that NASCAR should rotate venues every year for the championship. And I agree. Because, look, the Super Bowl rotates at different stadiums. Like this year, they had it in New York. Last year, it was New Orleans. Year before that, Indianapolis. Year before that, Dallas. Year before that, Miami. Year before that, Tampa. So, if the Super Bowl rotates between different stadiums, then the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship and the Nationwide Truck Championship should rotate between different tracks to have their championships at. So my bold prediction is in 2015, they're going to say goodbye to Homestead and just rotate between different tracks. Like one year, have it Daytona, the other year Bristol, the other year Charlotte. Just rotate between different tracks to see which track would be interested in hosting the championship, which pretty much all of them will. But I say put them under the lights and do it the day after Thanksgiving. Another top story, this may be Jeff Gordon's final year in NASCAR racing. The 4-time champion has announced that he may retire if he wins a 5th championship in 2014. Now, basically, the reason why I think Jeff Gordon wants to retire so earlier, thinking about it, is because he wants to spend time with family. You see, Ella and Leo, they want to be racers too, and Jeff wants to help them be as big of a champions as he was to our sport. But I think he wants to wait until after he wins his 5th championship, because let's take a look. The 4 championships he won was in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. This is before Sprint became part of our sport and before the chase was even invented. And he's come so close at winning in the chase format, but just couldn't pull it off. But he wants to pull it off, and also during those 4 championships he's won, it was when he was married to Brooke Seeley, which was his first wife. Now he and Brooke are divorced. He's married to Ingrid Vanden Bosch, who is a model. And he wants her to feel that experience, and so does he want his kids, Ella and Leo, because Ella and Leo were not even born when he won those 4 championships. But we've seen a lot of people go out on top. Look at Ray Lewis from the Baltimore Ravens. He announced he was going to retire if the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl. And the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl. That was a few years ago when they beat the San Francisco 49ers, and Ray Lewis retired after that game and is now an announcer at ESPN. So it's best to go out on top than to wait a few years later and people say, oh, you're no good anymore, or when us journalists don't even talk about that person anymore. It's always best to go out on top. So that's the reason why I think Jeff Gordon decided to retire. All right, here we go. It's time to look at the practice results from earlier tonight, beginning with the first practice session. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was fastest in that session. Kyle Busch was second. Kurt Busch third. Kevin Harvick fourth. Ricky Stenhouse fifth. Matt Kenseth sixth. Ryan Newman seventh. Marcus Ambrose eighth. Denny Hamlin ninth and Tony Stewart 10th. And in our second practice session, Denny Hamlin was the fastest. Jamie McMurray second. Ricky Stenhouse third. Kyle Busch fourth. Brad Keselowski fifth. Kevin Harvick sixth. Carl Edwards seventh. Marcus Ambrose eighth. Tony Stewart ninth. And Kurt Busch 10th. Now, we saw a lot more action in that first practice session than we did in the second practice session tonight. So I think we're in for a big, big race tomorrow night. I think the reason why we didn't see a lot of action in second practice, drivers trying to tone it down, get ready for the big race tomorrow night. And the big race they're practicing for is the Sprint Unlimited, and you can catch that tomorrow night on Fox Sports 1. Now, this is the race for the pole winners. To get into this race, you either had to win a pole from last year or be a former winner of this race. 16 of the drivers that are in tomorrow night's race were pole winners from 2013. The only two that enter this race as winners of this race are Tony Stewart and Terry Labonte. Now, expect Tony Stewart to run good tomorrow night. Expect Denny Hamlin to run good. Expect Kevin Harvick to run good. Expect the Busch brothers to run good. This is going to be a very good and exciting race. And the most memorable moment from the Sprint Unlimited was 2012, back when it was named the Budweiser Shootout, when Kyle Busch made three incredible saves and wound up beating Tony Stewart by this much. And let me tell you something. What I saw that night from Kyle Busch reminded me of when Dale Earnhardt did that famous pass in the grass. It really wasn't a pass. It was more of a save. But that's what Kyle Busch reminded me of, watching him do those incredible saves that night. And you can catch front row qualifying Sunday on Fox. And that's front row qualifying for the Daytona 500. The top two fastest qualifiers will go to victory lane and will have their starting spots guaranteed regardless of where they finish in Thursday night's Budweiser duels. And expect Danica Patrick to try to redo history. Expect Jeff Gordon to run good. Expect Tony Stewart to run good. Dale Earnhardt Jr., expect him to run good in front row qualifying. I think we're in for a big one. And our most memorable moment from the front row qualifying was when Danica Patrick shocked the world and sat on the pole for the Daytona 500. In my opinion, that's one of the biggest moments in all of NASCAR history. Becoming the first lady ever to sit on a pole for NASCAR's biggest race, the Daytona 500. That's something every NASCAR fan is going to be talking about for a long, long time. All right, take a look now at the weather forecast. It's coming to you from Fox 13 in Tampa. We start with the forecast for Saturday night's race. The high tomorrow is going to be 66 degrees. However, temperatures will be dropping come race time. The low tomorrow night is going to be 40 degrees there at Daytona. So if you're going to the race tomorrow night, make sure you bring a jacket with you. It's not going to be as cold as it was last year's Sprint Unlimited, but it will be cold. So bring a jacket with you. And Sunday for front row qualifying, lots of sunshine, a high of 66. A beautiful day to watch the drivers qualify. And I'd recommend you go Sunday because it's more of a beautiful day. And tickets are still available, so go ahead and buy your tickets and come on down. I guarantee you're going to be in for wild action for the next 2 days and throughout Speed Week. So you might want to come and see the rest of Speed Weeks too. All right, that is our broadcast tonight. I thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler White. We're going to be back here Monday night to recap the Sprint Unlimited, and we'll also recap the front row qualifying, and we'll get you ready for the Budweiser Duels and the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series. Plus, we'll have top stories going on, and we'll have another weather report from Fox 13 in Tampa. Plus, we'll look back at the 2007 Budweiser Duels, back then was named the Gatorade Duels, and we'll look back at the 2003 truck race at Daytona. And we're going to be here to get you all pumped up for those two races. Until then, I'm Tyler White reminding you for you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Have a great night, everybody.